Good evening, this is GCN English News Edition, and you're watching with me, Ninghui Kim Kong Sai. First, the headlines. Kuki in Cedar Hills protest allays Jiribam massacre. Big KIJTNs call for CRPF withdrawal. Kuki groups allays barbaric actions by Central Force. Day after 10 killed in Manipur encounter. Kuki outfit claims 10 persons gunned down by CRPF were not militants but village volunteers. News in detail. A massive wave of Kuki protesters filled the streets of Gamgipay today, voicing deep anger and sorrow over the recent Jiribam massacre allegedly perpetrated by the CRPF. Thousands gathered under the banner of the Committee on Tribal Unity go to Cedar Hills, chanting CRPF down, down. We want justice, and we are Indian, not terrorists, as they demanded accountability and an end to what they call targeted violence against their community. The demonstration was fueled by reports from Manipur police, who claims 11 Kuki militants had been neutralized following an alleged attack on a CRPF post in Zakuradhor and the Borobakra police stations in Jiribam. Protesters, however, accused the CRPF of comprising with the Manipur police, armed Meitei groups, and the militant Arambay Tingle, pointing to a series of brutal incidents as evidence of a coordinated campaign. As the Kuki mass protest unfolded in Gamgipay, another attack on Zairon village in Jiribam by armed Meitei group was reported. Zairon Kuki village was first attacked on the evening of November 7, leading to the brutal rape and burning of a 31-year-old school teacher, a mother of 3, leaving the community in shock and grief. They highlighted that during the November 7 attack on Zairon village, the CRPF stood by as silent spectators, allowing the armed Meitei group to unleash a brutal assault on an innocent mother and the defenseless villagers, while showing force and bravery only against Kuki volunteers. During the protest, the community observed a somber condolence ceremony along National Highway 2, lighting candles and laying flowers in tribute to 11 Kuki volunteers who reportedly lost their lives. Pastors and religious leaders led prayers, invoking solace for the buried families and peace for communities shaken by loss and fear. The demonstration coincided with a 24-hour shutdown imposed by KOTU, halting all business activities, schools, and government institutions. Only essential services were exempt, and vehicles along the highway were strictly restricted. During the mass protest held by an outraged and grieving Kuki community in Gamgipay, and Zilun Kipgen, spokesperson for the Committee on Tribal Unity, KOTU, alleged suspicious behavior by the Central Reserve Police Force CRPF surrounding the recent massacre in Jiribam, Kipgen pointed out. We have trained our volunteers never to raise their guns against central security forces. This stance has been known to central government and the entire world since the majority community's onslaught began on May 3rd. He recounted that following the brutal killing of Kuki women Zosang Kimar by armed Meitei militants on the evening of November 7, Kuki volunteers pursued the perpetrators. Upon learning that these individuals were being sheltered inside specific police stations in Jiribam, the volunteers demanded that the militants be handed over. CRPF officers reportedly assured them that the militants would be surrendered if the volunteers disarmed. Trusting the CRPF and adhering to their long-standing respect for central security forces, the Kuki volunteers complied. However, according to Kipgen, the CRPF allegedly colluding with armed Meitei militants and state police, then opened fire on the unarmed volunteers, killing them. Kipgen stated that following this incident, the community would reconsider its previous stance of not directing arms at the CRPF as trust had been severely betrayed by the CRPF's action. Addressing Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Kipgen reminded him of the government's decision to replace the Assam Rifles, which had maintained neutrality for the past years, with the CRPF, a move he characterized as appeasement to the majority community. This is why the Kuki community resisted the relocations of the Assam Rifles. Now, we see the tragic consequences of that decision, he said. Kipgen strongly condemned the replacement of the Assam Rifles, a trusted and neutral force, with the CRPF, blaming it for the recent escalations of violence. This shift in security forces was not a move toward peace, Kipgen declared. It was an act of appeasement to the majority community, an act that has cost our lives and shattered a fragile calm. He called on Home Minister Amit Shah to reverse the decision, insisting that peace can only be achieved by reinstalling Assam Rifles in critical areas such as Churachampur and Kangpokpi. If the government genuinely asks peace, it must act now by restoring the neutrality and stability that Assam Rifles provided. Kipgen urged to strong support from the crowd. Underlining the gravity of the situation, Kipgen reiterated the community's demand, "We want Assam Rifles back," as he described the conditions since the CRPF deployment. Kipgen also voiced support for a recent statement by Kuki MP Ziribam Tamenglong and Noney, which issued a 3-day ultimatum for the CRPF's withdrawal from the area. The Kotu and the Sadar Hills Kuki communities stand resolutely behind this demand, he affirmed. The central government must act. Peace and justice cannot wait. In a final, pointed message to national media outlets, Kipgen accused mainstream coverage of biased reporting. He urged journalists to visit the region directly, rather than relying on what he described as biased report from the Manipur police. If you want to understand this crisis, stop listening to one-sided accounts. Send correspondents here. This is journalism's duty and responsibility, he said. Kipgen's call for action served as a stark reminder that the crisis in Manipur remains unresolved, with mounting tensions and diminishing trust in government intervention. The Kuki community now awaits a response, hoping for decisive action to prevent further bloodshed and pave the way for lasting peace. Meanwhile, condemning the Ziribam massacre, the Kuki MP Ziribam Tamenglong and Noney KIJTN stated that the volunteers were killed in a cold-blooded murder, despite having peacefully approached security forces. The organization explained that the volunteers approached the CRPF and Manipur police at Jakuradhor police stations, demanding that the perpetrators of the Zairon incident must be handed over to them. However, during a period of relaxed dialogue, the volunteers were fired upon without provocations, resulting in the tragic loss of lives. In light of these events, KIJTN raised questions about the role of the CRPF, citing their failure to intervene in the burning of Zairon village and criticizing their response to volunteers' presence. The organizations demanded a thorough investigations by a central agency to determine the accountability of all parties involved.
Today, the Kuki-Zo community have gathered here at Gamgeiphai to show our resentment against the mass massacre of 11 of our village volunteers at Ziribam. Now, we would like to remind the central government, especially the Home Minister, Sri Amit Shah ji, when you appeal to the Kuki-Zo community for the removal of the Assam Rifle, which had maintained neutrality for the past nearly 1 year, you have insisted and you have relied on the appeals to the majority community by removing, relocating, and in exchange for the CRPF, which we now see. That is the reason why the Kuki-Zo community has been adamant, been resistant for their relocation of the Assam Rifle. Now this is the result. So it's a high time you reconsider your ideas that peace can be achieved through forces. If you want peace, at least do us a goodwill of reconsidering installment of Assam Rifle back at Churachandpur and Kangpokpi. This is one way you can resolve. And in fact, we would like to endorse the statement of the Jiribam NP that they have given 3 days for the withdrawal of CRPF from the area. And the Kuki-Zo community here in Sada Hills, the KOTU, will firmly stand with their demand, and the onus is with the center government. And we want the Assam Rifle for that neutrality to be installed back in the area for lasting peace and stability in the region. And pertaining to the news, if the national media, mainstream channel wants to get the facts, I think it's high time you stop getting news from the Manipur police, which is biased under the Majoritarian community. You know it as well as we do. If you want facts, if you want real life, you send your correspondent here. That is the ethics of journalism. This is the reason why the conflict in a state of Manipur, a small state of Manipur, still lingers on.
Additionally, KIZTN called for the immediate withdrawal of CRPF personnel from all Kuki villages in Jiribam, citing a loss of trust and a growing sense of insecurity among villagers. The organizations further demanded the removal of Meitei militants, including the proscribed UNLF, who they allege are being sheltered under the guise of peace talks with the central government. Several civil society groups and student organizations of the Kuki tribes have condemned what they call barbaric actions of the Central Reserve Police Force CRPF a day after 10 men from the Kuki tribes were killed in Manipur's Jiribam district. 3 children, including 2 babies, one of them a 2-year-old, and 3 women from the Meitei community are also missing from Jiribam since yesterday. The police in the ethnic violence hit state had in a statement said a CRPF post and a police station came under attack from armed militants in Jiribam, neighboring Assam. After a gunfight that lasted 45 minutes, 10 bodies and several weapons including AK and incest assault rifles and a rocket-propelled granite RPG launcher were found, the police said. Civil society organizations and leaders of the Kuki tribes have, however, alleged the men were village volunteers who were murdered mercilessly. The Kuki groups have alleged the CRPF soldiers conspired with the Manipur police and armed groups to carry out the attack. Some of the Kuki groups that condemned the CRPF and called for a thorough investigations into the matter include Kuki Students Organization, KSO General Headquarters, Jomi Students Federation, March Students Association, and Kuki Women Organizations for Human Rights. Hundreds of members of the Kuki tribes gathered in a few cities, including Delhi, for a silent protest. Many came out in Manipur's Kuki-dominated hill districts Churachandpur and Kangpokpi and protested against what they alleged was a puppet force carrying out the will of its masters while disregarding the welfare and protections of the citizens it is meant to defend. The KSO in a statement called for non-cooperations with the CRPF in all areas dominated by the Kuki tribes. In response to yesterday's inhuman actions by the CRPF in Jiribam, the KSO General Headquarters has issued a directive stating that no CRPF personnel shall be allowed to leave their camp premises. Any CRPF personnel found in violations of this notice shall do so at their own risk and responsibility, the KSO said in a statement, which has been verified as genuine by a senior KSO member to NDTV. The senior KSO member who requested anonymity said the Kuki tribes have been pushed to the wall, and yesterday's death of 11 village volunteers have hurt the community immensely. The weapons claimed to have been found in the hands of the village volunteers could be from anyone, the member said. We are aware of what we have said in the statement. It is out of desperation. Who is listening to us? We are not endorsing violence, but we feel helpless. The Central Forces are supposed to be neutral. The CRPF is under the Home Ministry, said the KSO official, aiding the nonsense of against the Kuki tribes after the Ziribam horror shouldn't be seen in a binary manner. There is someone behind all this, while the three communities fight. This is what everybody should know, the official said. Central security forces, including the Assam Rifles, have faced allegations of bias while operating in Manipur. The Valley-dominant Meitei community has often alleged Assam Rifles of going soft on Kuki militants due to suspensions of operations SOO agreement. The Kuki tribes have protested against the Central's move to shift two Assam Rifles battalions to Jammu and Kashmir to be replaced by CRPF in the areas in Manipur the Assam Rifles had vacated. The Kuki tribes and the Meiteis have been fighting since May 2023 over a range of issues such as land rights and political representation. A day after Central Reserve Police Force CRPF claimed that they have gunned down 10 militants in Manipur's Ziribam district on Monday, the bodies of two elderly male civilians were recovered on Tuesday morning. Official sources say the bodies of Laisram Valent and Maibam Kishore were found during a search at Zakurador Karong area, where some shops were set on fire by suspected militants on Monday. Kuki organizations Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum ITLF alleged that the 10 persons gunned down by CRPF was not militants but Kuki village volunteers. They were ambushed and murdered, ITLF said. It is important to note that the state has never witnessed so much casualties in one incident of cross-firing. This suggests that the CRPF and Meitei State Forces ambushed and murdered all the village volunteers, the ITLF said in a statement. If the volunteers were indeed armed and intending to attack the security forces, it would have been impossible to kill so many of them in one incident of cross-firing from a distance, the organization said. The bodies of civilians were recovered after a search operation was conducted for some missing persons. The sources say some civilians who were apparently hiding somewhere returned on Tuesday morning. After Monday's incident, prohibitory orders under Section 163 of the BNSS were claimed in the district. Overnight gunfire was reported from some part of the Imphal West district, as total shutdown is being observed in the Kuki areas on Tuesday to pay respect to those who died. The Manipur police has stated on Monday that armed militants had attacked a CRPF post at Zakurador and Borabekra police stations located nearby, and the CRPF and the police fiercely retaliated the attack. In a statement, the police stated that after the firing ceased, the area was searched and the bodies of the militants were recovered along with arms and ammunition. A CRPF Jawan was injured and evacuated to Assam Silchar Medical College and Hospital. The Kuki Council called for a total shutdown in the hill areas of the state from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday to express their collective grief and solidarity with who were brutally shut down. In response to escalating violence, the Ministry of Home Affairs MHA has deployed 20 additional companies of Central Armed Police Forces CAPF, comprising around 2,000 personnel to Manipur. The decision came in light of fresh attacks and growing unrest in the northeastern state, with orders for immediate airlift and deployment issued on Tuesday night. The new units, sourced from the Central Reserve Police Force CRPF and the Border Security Force BSF, are expected to strengthen the 198 CRPF companies already stationed in the region. The recent deployment follows a violent confrontation on Monday in the Ziribam district, where insurgents in camouflage and armed with advanced weaponry launched an assault on the Borobakra police station and a nearby CRPF camp in Zakurador. During the exchange, at least 10 suspected militants were killed and a large case of sophisticated weapons was seized. The renewed violence in Manipur, which initially showed ethnic conflicts, broke out in May 2023, resulting in around 200 fatalities, has kept tensions high across various regions, particularly in the Imphal Valley. Following the incident in Jiribam, reports emerged of armed groups clashing in the valley, further contributing to the strained law and order situation. CRPF units are expected to remain stationed in the state at least until November 30, though an extension is anticipated if violence persists. The Hill Tribal Council strongly condemned the barbaric and brutal killing of Ms. Rezo Sangkimar, wife of Murtan Sangmar, who was shot and raped, her brain removed, her body mutilated and burned by Metis terrorists on the night of November 7, 2024 at Zairon village, Jiribam district. With a heavy heart, the Hill Tribal Council mourns the loss of a beloved mother that caused unspeakable pain and sorrow to her husband, children, and the entire Kukizo community. May our Heavenly Father comfort the Berry family to overcome this agony. This ruthless, inhuman act of the Metis terrorists in Jiribam is a deliberate attempt to provoke and annihilate the Kukizo people, orchestrated by the Metis supremacists, namely Arambay Tingle, Supremo Korongambam Krumant, Chief Minister, and Biren Singh Rajya Sabha. Today marks the third anniversary of the tragic ambush that took the life of Colonel Vipal Tripathi, his family, and 4 other Assam Rifles personnel. On November 13, 2021, Colonel Tripathi's convoy was ambushed by Metis militants in Second village of Churachandpur district near the Indo-Myanmar border. Colonel Tripathi, a renowned officer, was the commanding officer of 46 Assam Rifles. He was returning from the Bihang Company post to his battalion near Kogadam when the ambush occurred. Unfortunately, his wife Anuja and 6-year-old son Abir was also killed in the attack. The attack was carried out by suspected militants of the People's Revolutionary Party of Kangleipak, a militant group in Manipur demanding a separate homeland. The perpetrators used improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and fired at vehicles, resulting in the loss of 7 lives, including Colonel Tripathi, his family, and 4 Assam Rifle personnel. The KSO has condemned the lack of progress in bringing the perpetrators to justice, alleging that they operate with impunity protected by the state government. The KSO demands immediate action from the Ministry of Home Affairs to apprehend those responsible and ensure justice for the fallen soldiers and their families. The Zonal Education Office ZEO Churachandpur organized a 44 district-level students' science seminar 2024 under the guidance of Science Supervisor on November 13, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. at SBS Hall, Senior Complex, IB Road. Main highlights of the program were artificial intelligence, potential and concerns, and participants were from class 8 to 10 students. Written aptitude tests began from 11 a.m. where students presented on the seminar topic. Guidance and support were addressed by Kamnejin, Science Supervisor, provided guidance and orientation. Ace Kapneitang District Inspector of Schools, Churachandpur Block distributed prizes. Participating schools were Gandhi Memorial High School, Renkai Government Higher Secondary School, St. Peter's School, Dibon Government High School, Vungzagen Higher Secondary School, the Dawn School, the Pathway School, Lamval Model High School, LM Academy, St. Paul's Institute. Winners were: first position goes to Jingremoy, the Dawn School; second position, Elina Tuamnunfel, St. Peter's School; third, Nanglunay, LM Academy. On November 15, 2024, Jingremoy will be representing Churachandpur district in the state-level science seminar, and if his success in this journey, she will be participating in the national level science seminar on behalf of the state on 28 November 2024. This seminar aims to encourage students to explore science and technology, fostering innovations and critical thinking. The village volunteer East Tanjong has strongly condemned the killing of 11 Kulkizau village volunteers by CRPF personnel in Ziribam on November 11, calling it a discriminatory act. They allege that the CRPF remained inactive when Meitei terrorists burned down Zairam village on November 7, 2024 and brutally murdered a Kulkizau woman, Zhou Sangkim. The village volunteers East Tanjong criticized the CRPF for failing to maintain law and order, instead becoming agents of violence and escalating the ongoing conflict. They demanded the replacement of the CRPF with a neutral central force, citing bias towards the Meitei community. Key demands include replacement of CRPF with a neutral central force to ensure impartial law enforcement. Non-cooperation, advising the Kulkizau community to withhold cooperations from the CRPF. Vigilance, urging Kulkizau civilians to remain alert against CRPF's alleged bias. The village volunteers East Tanjong extended condolences to the families of 11 slave Mar volunteers. This incident has sparked protests and a total shutdown in Cedar Hills. Today, relief materials were distributed to displaced people affected by the conflict in Manipur. The district administrations under the leadership of Mini Secretariat Tuibong provided essential items to relief centers in various areas. The distribution details included Tuibong SDO area, 7,215 beneficiaries received 402 bags of rice, 81.90 bags of wheat, 31.70 bags of pulses, 20.45 bags of potatoes, 50.40 liters of oil, 7,287 packets of salt, 22.97 bags of sugar, and 48.30 kg of tea. Lamka SDO area, 5,567 beneficiaries received 310.14 bags of rice, 63.40 bags of wheat, 24.90 bags of pulses, 15.29 bags of potatoes, 38.90 liters of oil, 5,621 packets of salt, 17.80 bags of sugar, and 37.30 kg of tea. Saikot SDO area, 1,071 beneficiaries received 59.74 bags of rice, 12.20 bags of wheat, 4.60 bags of pulses, 3 bags of potatoes, 7.40 liters of oil, 1,082 packets of salt, 3.40 bags of sugar, and 7.20 kg of tea. Singat SDO area, 912 beneficiaries received 50.90 bags of rice, 10.50 bags of wheat, 4 bags of pulses, 2.60 bags of potatoes, 6.30 liters of oil, 922 packets of salt, 3 bags of sugar, and 6.10 kg of tea. Sangaikot SDO area, 865 beneficiaries received 48.20 bags of rice, 9.90 bags of wheat, 3.90 bags of pulses, 2.50 bags of potatoes, 6.10 liters of oil, 874 packets of salt, 2.80 bags of sugar, and 5.80 kg of tea. The total relief materials distributed today include 871.21 bags of rice, 177.90 bags of wheat, 69.10 bags of pulses, 44.14 bags of potatoes, 109.10 liters of oil, 15,786 packets of salt, 49.97 bags of sugar, and 104.70 kg of tea. These are currently 92 relief centers with 15,630 beneficiaries. Since June 2023, the district administration has provided continuous relief support including food items, household essentials, and other necessities. Following the request by the United Naga Council UNC to A.K. Misra, advisor Northeast Ministry of Home Affairs Government of India, to reschedule the date for the next tripartite talks on the Manipur new district creation issue. Now the talk has been postponed to November 29, 2024. On November 8, A.K. Misra had invited the Naga body to hold the next round of the talk in Senapati on November 13, 2024 at 10 a.m. However, the UNC had expressed its inability to hold the talk on November 13. On November 10, UNC General Secretary Barreiro Satsang had written to A.K. Misra to reschedule the next talk in the fourth week of November 2024. Due to inevitable prior engagement of some members of the UNC talk team on November 13. Responding to UNC later, A.K. Misra informed the Naga body today that the next round of talk will be held on November 29, 2024 in Senapati. It can be recalled that the Manipur new district creation issue tripartite talks involving the central government, the United Naga Council UNC and the government of Manipur resumed on October 11, 2024 in New Delhi after a long hiatus. It is also worth noting here that the previous government of Manipur had created the 7 new districts on November 8, 2016 in protest against the act of Manipur government. The UNC had imposed 139 days of economic blockade along the national highways which passed through Manipur. After the lifting of the blockade, the first round of talk was held on March 19, 2017, followed by several rounds of talk. The JNTU-SU has extended solidarity to protesting students at Northeastern Hill University, NAHU, where a hunger strike over administrative concerns has entered its 8th day amid the bad health conditions of participants. The health of hunger striking students is bad, with many hospitalized, states the JNTU-SU Solidarity later, highlighting the gravity of the situations at NAHU. The primary demand centers on the resignations of Vice Chancellor Prabha Sankar Shukla and 4 other top officials. Students alleged corruptions and procedural violations in administrative appointments, particularly regarding the failure to appoint a pro-vice chancellor for 2 campuses. Vice Chancellor Prabha Sankar Shukla faces allegations of corruption and unaccountability in appointing 4 inefficient officials without due process, the JNTU-SU statement notes, echoing NAHU students' concern. In a positive development, Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad K. Sangma announced receiving assurance from Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan regarding resolutions of the crisis, received a call from Honorable Minister Education for his assurance to find a resolution to the current issue of NAHU, Sangma posted on social media. The university's infrastructure has become a focal point of protest. According to JNTU-SU, NAHU suffers from crumbling infrastructure, incompetent recruitment, lack of basic facilities, example, drinking water in hostels, delayed fellowship approval for research scholars. Vice Chancellor Shukla, responding to allegations, has proposed forming an inquiry committee headed by retired judge or senior administrative official to examine controversial appointments while maintaining his willingness to engage in dialogue with students. The crisis represents broader concern about higher education administrations, with JNTU-SU noting that NAHU situation mirrors that the state of higher education is under the current Modi government, affecting even top universities like JNTU. The Union government has approved the creation of a first ever all-women battalion within the Central Industrial Security Force CISF, comprising over 1,000 personnel. The moves comes in response to the increasing demands on the force, particularly in VIP security, airports, and other critical installations. The new unit, designated as a reserve battalion will be formed from the existing workforce of approximately 2 lakh CISF personnel. The Ministry of Home Affairs approved the formations on Monday, and it will be led by a senior officer holding the rank of commandant. Women currently comprise over 7% of the CISF's total strength of around 180,000. Preparations for the battalion's recruitment, training, and stationing are already underway. The training program is being tailored to develop an allied force capable of handling high-level security tasks such as VIP protections and safeguarding major facilities like airports and the Delhi Metro. Once established, this will be the CISF first all-women reserve battalion. While the CISF currently has 12 reserve battalions with a mix of male and female personnel, these units are kept on standby to provide reinforcement for duties like elections and protections of key installations, including the Parliament House complex, which was recently added to force responsibilities. The CISF has significant interaction with female commuters and visitors at its guarded locations, including the 68 civil airports, the Delhi Metro, and historic sites like the Taj Mahal and Red Fort. Female personnel are already stationed at these sites. Established in 1969, the CISF also provides counter-terrorism security to various sensitive facilities in the nuclear and aerospace sectors, as well as private sector operations like those of Infosys in Bengaluru and Pune and the Reliance Refinery in Jamnagar. The push for an all-women reserve battalion emerged early this year following a directive from Union Home Minister Amit Shah during the CISF 53 Raising Day celebrations in March 2023. The formations of this battalion is expected to inspire more young women to join the CISF and contribute to the nation's security, offering a distinct identity to women within the force. CISF is going to celebrate its glorious 55th Foundation Day of the Decade and Selfless Service to the Nations on 10 March 2025. According to sources, during the Foundation Day program, this women battalion will also showcase its strength and skill in front of the Union Home Minister. Defense Research and Development Organizations (DRDO) on Tuesday carried out the first flight test of its long-range land attack cruise missile LRLSCM, which has a strike range of 1,000 kilometers. The subsonic missile was test-fired from a mobile launcher station at the Integrated Test Range (ITR) at Chandipur of the Odisha coast. The test carried out for validating the LRLSCM subsystem met all performance parameters according to DRDO. An entire range of tracking and monitoring systems, including radars, electro-optical tracking systems, and telemetry deployed at ITR, were used to assess the performance of the missile. The missile used all its navigation system and demonstrated maneuvering capabilities at various peaks and altitudes. The missile is equipped with advanced avionics and software to ensure better and reliable performance, according to DRDO. LRLSCM has been developed by Aeronautical Development Establishment, Bengaluru, with support from other DRDO laboratories and Indian industries. Development and production of the missile, including system integrations, were undertaken by Bharat Dynamics Limited, Hyderabad, and Bharat Electronics Limited, Bengaluru. LRLSCM is a mission mode project as the Defense Acquisition Council had approved it as an essential force multiplier for the Indian Army. The missile can also be launched from the frontline ships using Universal Vertical Launch Model. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and DRDO Chairman and Secretary in the Department of Defense R&D, Samir V. Kamath, complimented DRDO and the industry on a successful maiden flight test which would lead to indigenous cruise missile development. Newly appointed Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz on Monday said Iran was more exposed than ever to strikes on its nuclear facilities. We have the opportunity to achieve our most important goal, to thwart and eliminate the existential threat to the state of Israel, Katz added on X. Israel has for years accused Iran of seeking to build nuclear weapons, but the Islamic Republic has repeatedly denied the claims. The United States in 2018, under President Donald Trump, who won re-election last week, withdrew from a 2015 nuclear accord between Tehran and Western powers, including Washington, that sought to limit Iran's nuclear ambitions. Tehran has since enriched uranium up to 60%, just 30% below atomic weapons grade. Israel and Iran have threatened tit-for-tat missile strikes, triggering fears of a wider Middle East war. Iran twice fired missiles directly on Israeli territory this year, prompting Israel to retaliate. Most recently, on October 26, when it hit Iranian military facilities. Israel has warned Iran against responding to last month's attack. China is stepping up pressure on the Philippines to concede its sovereign rights in the South China Sea, Manila's Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro said on Tuesday after meeting his Australian counterpart in Canberra. The fifth such meeting since August 2023 reflects growing security ties between the countries, which have both voiced concern about Chinese activity in areas of the busy waterway claimed by Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations. What we see is an increasing demand by Beijing for us to concede our sovereign rights in the sea, Teodoro said after meeting Australian counterpart Richard Marles, adding that the Philippines was a victim of Chinese aggression. The two nations signed a strategic partnership in September 2023 before holding their first joint sea and air patrols in the South China Sea months later. This year, the Philippines also joined war games in Australia for the first time. In Beijing, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry said China took measures to assert its right after the Philippines infringed first. If the Philippines no longer infringes and provokes, there will be no more escalations of the maritime situation, the spokesperson Lin Xian told a briefing. China and the Philippines have sparred repeatedly this year over disputed areas of the South China Sea, including the Scarborough Shoal and one of Asia's most contested features. On Sunday, China's foreign ministry said its government had defined a baseline of territorial waters around Scarborough Shoal in response to Philippine approval of two laws defining its sea lands and maritime zones to bolster its territorial claims around the South China Sea. Manila's National Maritime Council said on Tuesday it objected to China's establishment of baselines and accused Beijing of violating its sovereignty. The establishment of the baselines by China around the shoal is a continuation of its 2012 illegal seizure of the shoal, which the Philippines continues to strongly oppose, it said in a statement. China has ramped up its maritime patrols in the South China Sea, stat-backed Global Times said late on Monday, deploying vessels capable of longer patrols and stricter enforcement, after the Philippines passed new laws to protect its right in the vast waterway. That's all from us tonight, and we thank you for joining our program.